The Corvathian Empire controlled 47 star systems. Their ships were faster than light. Their weapons could destroy planets. They had conquered hundreds of alien species across the galaxy. When they discovered Earth, they saw weak creatures who had just learned to travel between stars. The humans called it first contact. They were excited. They sent diplomats and scientists to meet the great empire. They wanted to join the galactic community. They wanted to learn and trade. They did not know the empire saw them as pets. 3 years passed. Humanity built a research station on Europa's ice moon. 5 women worked there, studying the frozen ocean below. Dr. Sarah Chen was a medical doctor. Lisa Martinez was an engineer who kept the station running. Ambassador Kate Morrison handled communications with Earth. Dr. Katya Volkov was a brilliant scientist studying alien bacteria. Maya Cole was a young artist who painted the strange beauty of space. On a cold Tuesday morning, the alarm screamed. A Corvathian warship appeared above the station. It was not there to talk. Prince Zalthor, the Emperor's son, wanted something special for his collection. He collected rare creatures from across the galaxy. Human females were new. They were interesting. He wanted them. The station had no weapons. The women tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. Corvathian soldiers broke through the walls. They were 8 feet tall, covered in scales, with 4 arms each. The women fought back with tools and metal bars. It did not matter. Within an hour, all 5 women were taken aboard the alien ship. Earth's government received the news and exploded with rage. The unified government sent an emergency message to the Corvathian Empire. Return the women within 48 hours. Return them unharmed, or face the consequences. The Corvathian Council laughed. These primitive humans were threatening them. The species that just learned to leave their own solar system? The Council sent back a simple message. No, the women belong to Prince Zalthor now. Earth should be grateful the Empire did not take more. The Corvathians did not know about Earth's shadows. Every government had secrets. Every nation had people who did not officially exist. These people did terrible things in dark places so others could sleep safely. Most humans did not know about them either. They were ghosts. They were myths. Some said they were monsters. In a secret facility beneath Geneva, Director Chen opened 2 files. The files were locked in the deepest database, protected by systems that could burn the information if the wrong person looked. These files had not been opened in 10 years. The first file was marked Baba Yaga. Real name, Anastasia Volkov. Former Russian intelligence. Declared dead 8 years ago. Official record showed 247 confirmed kills. Unofficial sources said the number was much higher. She was a ghost who walked through walls. She killed presidents and generals. Governments fell when she visited. Then she disappeared. The second file was marked Boogeyman. Real name Marcus Cole, former Delta Force. He died 10 years ago according to every record. But dead men do not overthrow 3 governments in South America. Dead men do not rescue hostages from impossible situations. Dead men do not kill 30 soldiers alone in the dark. Yet someone did all these things. Someone they called the Reaper. Director Chen made 2 phone calls. The first went to a small farm in Romania. The second went to a fishing boat off the coast of Alaska. Both conversations were short. Both calls used the same words. They took 5 women. One is your blood. Anastasia Volkov stood in her garden looking at tomatoes she would never harvest. The woman called Dr. Katya Volkov was her brother's daughter. Her only family, her reason for leaving the old life behind. She walked into her house and opened a hidden door. Behind it were weapons and gear she swore she would never touch again. Marcus Cole put down his fishing rod. The young artist Maya Cole was his daughter, his only child, his reason for faking his death and living alone on the ocean. He went below deck and opened a sealed case. Inside were things he promised himself he would forget. Tools of war, tools of death, both of them packed quickly. Both of them moved with the speed of people who had done this 1,000 times. Neither of them knew the other was involved. Neither of them cared about anything except getting their family back. The Corvathian Empire did not know what was coming. Prince Zalthor celebrated his new collection on his pleasure world. The Council dismissed Earth's threats. They sent war fleets to patrol space, expecting a weak military response. They were looking for armies. They were preparing for ships and missiles. They did not understand that humanity's most dangerous weapons were not machines. They were legends. They were nightmares with names. And those nightmares were coming. In 48 hours, the galaxy would learn something new about humans. When you touch their families, when you take their people, you do not face governments or armies. You face something much worse. You face the ones who taught monsters to fear the dark. Anastasia Volkov arrived in Geneva 12 hours after the phone call. She wore simple clothes and carried one small bag. The guards at the secret facility did not stop her. They stepped aside. Some of them looked away. They knew who she was. More importantly, they knew what she was. Director Chen met her in a conference room deep underground. He looked older than his photos. Running Earth's shadow operations aged people quickly. He slid a tablet across the table. Information about the Corvathian Empire. Information about Prince Zalthor. Location of the women. Anastasia read everything in silence. Her face showed nothing. People who knew her old reputation would have been afraid of that empty face. It meant she was already planning. It meant someone was about to die. Director Chen explained the mission. A stealth ship would take her into Corvathian space. She would have the best weapons humanity could build. She would have support. Then he told her the last part. She would have a partner. Anastasia almost smiled. She worked alone. She always worked alone. But she said nothing. If this partner could keep up, fine. If not, she would leave him behind. Marcus Cole arrived 6 hours later. He looked like a fisherman with rough hands and sun-damaged skin. But his eyes were different. They were the eyes of a man who had seen too much death. The guards recognized those eyes. They had seen them in mirrors. Director Chen gave him the same briefing. Marcus read everything twice. He asked questions about Corvathian weapons, ship designs, and security protocols. He was already planning the assault. Then Director Chen mentioned the partner. Marcus frowned. He worked alone. Teams got people killed, but his daughter was out there scared and alone. If this partner could help bring her home, he would accept it. They met in the armory. The room was filled with weapons that officially did not exist. Railguns that could punch through ship armor, monomolecular blades that could cut through anything, plasma charges, nanotech suits that bent light and blocked sensors. Marcus was checking a rifle when Anastasia walked in. They looked at each other for a long moment. Both recognized the killer in the other person. Both saw someone who had walked through hell and come back. Marcus spoke first. His voice was rough. He asked if she had done this before. Rescue missions in hostile territory. Anastasia selected a blade and tested its weight. She told him she had done many things. Some were rescues. Most were not. She asked if he could keep up. Marcus almost laughed. He said he would try. Then he got serious. He told her his daughter was one of the 5 women. The young artist, Anastasia, nodded. She said her niece was there too. The scientist. That was all they needed to say. They both understood. This was not just a mission. This was personal. This was family. The ship was called the Silent Witness. It was painted black and covered in stealth technology. It could slip past sensors like a ghost. The crew was small. A pilot, an engineer, and a communications officer. They did not ask questions. They just flew the ship. The first jump took them to the edge of Corvathian space. They needed information. They needed to know where Prince Zalthor was keeping the women. Director Chen had intelligence, but it was 3 days old. In 3 days, the women could have been moved anywhere. Marcus suggested they hit a trade station. The Corvathians used these stations to move goods and information. There would be records. There would be people who knew things. Anastasia agreed. But she wanted to send a message, too. She wanted the Empire to know that humans were coming. She wanted them to be afraid. The trade station was small. It orbited a dead moon. 50 Corvathian workers, 12 security guards, standard defenses. The Silent Witness docked using fake credentials. No alarms, no warnings. The station thought they were a cargo ship. Marcus and Anastasia entered through the cargo bay. They wore the nanotech suits. The station sensors saw nothing. They moved through the corridors like shadows. Workers passed within feet of them and never knew. They found the security center. Inside, a Corvathian captain was reviewing patrol reports. He never saw them coming. Anastasia put a blade to his throat. Marcus locked the door. The captain tried to reach for his weapon. Anastasia pressed harder. The captain froze. They asked about the 5 human women. The captain said he did not know. Marcus showed him a picture of his daughter. The captain said many humans looked the same to him. That was a mistake. 5 minutes later, the captain was talking. Prince Zalthor had taken the women to Zelkor Prime, his personal pleasure world. 15 jumps into the Empire, the most heavily defended planet in the sector. The captain said they would never reach it. The Empire would destroy them first. Anastasia looked at Marcus. Marcus looked at Anastasia. They both smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of predators who had found prey. Then the alarm started. The 12 security guards had discovered something was wrong. They were coming. Heavy footsteps echoed in the corridors. Weapons charging. Commands shouted in the Corvathian language. Marcus checked his rifle. Anastasia drew her blades. The captain looked at them with his 4 eyes and laughed. 12 trained warriors against 2 humans. It was over, he was right. It was over. Just not the way he thought. The fight lasted 4 minutes. The security guards were big, strong, and well-trained. They had plasma rifles and energy shields. They had armor that could stop bullets. They had killed hundreds of enemies in their careers, but they had never fought humans like these. They had never seen someone move the way Anastasia moved. She was water flowing around their attacks. She was death dancing between them. Her blades found the weak points in their armor. One by one they fell. They had never experienced firepower like Marcus brought. His railgun punched through shields like paper. His aim was perfect. Every shot counted. Every shot killed. He moved through the station like a machine built only for war. When the fighting stopped, all 12 guards were dead. Marcus and Anastasia had minor injuries. Nothing serious. Nothing that would slow them down. They left one survivor. The captain. They gave him a message. Tell the Empire that humans are coming. Tell them to return the 5 women. Tell them that if the women are harmed, every Corvathian who touched them will die screaming. Then they destroyed the station's communications and left. The silent witness jumped to the next system before anyone could respond. Behind them, the trade station burned. News of the attack spread through the Empire quickly. A small trade station destroyed. 12 soldiers dead. 2 humans responsible. The reports seemed impossible. Some Corvathian officials thought it was a lie. Others thought it was luck. None of them understood yet. This was not luck. This was just the beginning. Baba Yaga and the boogeyman were awake, and they were coming. The Corvathian High Council met in emergency session. 300 leaders from across the Empire gathered in the Great Hall. They watched security footage from the trade station. They saw 2 humans kill 12 trained warriors. They saw the station burn. Admiral Krathzul stood before the council. He was the Empire's greatest military commander. He had conquered 20 species. He had never lost a battle. He told the council not to worry. These were just 2 lucky humans. He would deploy the Crimson Fleet 300 warships. The humans would be destroyed within days. Prince Zalthor attended the meeting through video link. He looked bored. He said the Empire was overreacting. 2 humans could not threaten an empire of 47 systems. He suggested they ignore the threat and continue with business. His collection was growing nicely, but some council members were not so sure. They had studied Earth's history. They had read about human wars. Humans did terrible things to each other. What would they do to aliens who took their people? One counselor suggested returning the women. She was voted down immediately. The Empire did not negotiate with primitives. The silent witness jumped through system after system. Marcus and Anastasia studied the route to Zelkor Prime. 15 jumps. Each system had patrols. Each system had defenses. Going straight through would be suicide. Anastasia suggested a different approach. Instead of avoiding the patrols, they should destroy them. Each destroyed patrol would spread more fear. Each attack would make the Empire more nervous. Nervous enemies made mistakes, Marcus agreed. He wanted them to know humans were coming. He wanted them to fear. He wanted every Corvathian between him and his daughter to understand they had made a terrible mistake. The second attack happened in the Keltor system. A Corvathian patrol of 5 ships stopped the silent witness. They demanded identification. Marcus launched missiles before they finished talking. 3 ships exploded. The other 2 tried to run. Anastasia hacked their systems and shut down their engines. The ships drifted helplessly while Marcus destroyed them one by one. The third attack was more creative. They found a supply depot in the Harkoth system. 50 Corvathian soldiers guarded supplies for the Crimson Fleet. Anastasia went in alone. She wore the nanotech suit and carried only her blades. Marcus watched from the ship. He watched her on the security cameras she hacked. She moved through the depot like smoke. Soldiers died without seeing her. Systems failed. Lights went out. By the time the Corvathians realized they were under attack, 30 were already dead. The rest panicked and shot at shadows. Anastasia walked out 2 hours later. The depot was a tomb. Marcus asked her if she enjoyed it. Anastasia cleaned her blades and said she enjoyed nothing. She only wanted her niece back. But there was something cold in her eyes. Something that remembered the old days. The days when she was the nightmare that made governments fall. The attacks continued. Every day brought new reports to the Corvathian military. A command post destroyed. A cruiser ambushed. A listening station gone silent. The Crimson Fleet mobilized but could not find the silent witness. The ship was too fast, too quiet, too smart. On the 8th day, they captured a Corvathian command vessel. Marcus and Anastasia boarded during a shift change. They fought their way to the bridge. The captain tried to destroy the ship's data. Anastasia stopped him by breaking 3 of his 4 arms. They took everything. Ship movements, defense codes, and most importantly, the exact location of Prince Zalthor's palace on Zelkor Prime. They left the captain alive. Again, there was a message. Tell Admiral Krathzel that his fleet is slow. Tell the council that their defenses are weak. Tell Prince Zalthor that we are coming for our people. Tell them all that these are not random attacks. These are lessons. Lessons in what happens when you take what belongs to humanity. Far away on Zelkor Prime, the 5 women sat in a locked room. The room was comfortable. There were beds and food, but the door was sealed with technology they could not break. Guards stood outside. Big Corvathian warriors with plasma rifles. Dr. Sarah Chen organized them. She kept everyone calm and healthy. Lisa Martinez studied the door and the guards, looking for weaknesses. Ambassador Kate Morrison tried to negotiate, but the guards ignored her. Dr. Katya Volkov worked on a plan to disable the locks. Maya Cole drew pictures on the walls. Pictures of Earth, pictures of home. Prince Zalthor visited them every day. He tried to make them perform for him. Sing songs, tell stories, show him human culture. They refused. Every single time they refused. It made him angry. He was not used to anyone refusing him. On the 10th day, he threatened them. He said he could make their lives difficult. He could separate them. He could hurt them. Ambassador Morrison stood up and told him that would be a mistake. A very big mistake, the prince laughed. What could Earth do? They were primitives. They barely had space travel. He owned this sector. He owned these women. Earth could do nothing. Maya Cole stepped forward. She was young. She was scared. But she was also her father's daughter. She looked the prince in his 4 eyes and spoke clearly. She told him her father was coming. She told him that when he arrived, the prince would wish he had never learned that humans existed. Prince Zalthor hit her. He knocked her to the ground. The other women rushed to help her. The prince left, ordering more guards. He told his security chief that humans were causing trouble across the empire. He wanted the palace defenses doubled. He wanted orbital weapons activated. He wanted to be safe, but it was already too late. The silent witness was in orbit. Marcus and Anastasia looked down at the planet. Beautiful oceans, green forests, golden cities, and somewhere down there in a palace surrounded by 50,000 troops were 5 women who wanted to go home. Marcus checked his weapons one last time. Anastasia sharpened her blades. They looked at each other and nodded. No words were needed. They both knew this might be a one-way trip. They both knew they might not survive. They did not care. Family was worth dying for. The pilot programmed the ship to explode in orbit. It would be a distraction. A big distraction. While the Corvathians dealt with a ship explosion, 2 humans would drop from the sky. Marcus and Anastasia climbed into drop pods. Small capsules that could survive atmospheric entry. Marcus looked at Anastasia through the video link. He told her to see her on the other side. Anastasia smiled, a real smile this time, and told him not to keep her waiting. Then they launched. The pods fell toward the planet like meteors. Behind them, the silent witness exploded in a ball of fire. Every sensor on the planet locked onto the explosion. Every defense system activated. Every soldier went on alert. No one noticed 2 small pods slipping through the chaos. No one saw them land in the forest 5 miles from the palace. No one knew that Baba Yaga and the boogeyman had arrived. Marcus stood in the forest and looked toward the palace. Somewhere in there was his daughter. He checked his rifle and started walking. Anastasia moved silently beside him. They split up at the forest edge. Marcus would go through the dungeons to find the women. Anastasia would go through the palace to find the prince. The assault on Prince Zalthor's palace had begun. The Corvathian Empire was about to learn a lesson about humanity, a lesson about what happens when you touch their families, a lesson written in blood and fire. Marcus moved through the palace like a storm. The lower levels were dark and cold. Prison cells lined the corridors. Most were empty. Some held aliens from other conquered species. They watched him pass with wide eyes, a human moving alone through a Corvathian fortress. It seemed impossible. Guards appeared at an intersection, 6 Corvathians in full armor. They raised their plasma rifles. Marcus was faster. His railgun cracked 3 times. 3 guards dropped. The others returned fire. Marcus rolled behind a pillar. Plasma bolts melted stone. He threw a plasma charge. The guards scattered. Marcus came around the pillar firing. 2 more dropped. The last guard turned to run. Marcus shot him in the back. No mercy, no hesitation. These aliens had taken his daughter. They deserved none. Alarms screamed throughout the palace. More guards poured into the lower levels. 20, 30, 40. Marcus kept moving. He used the corridors as choke points. He turned their numbers against them. Bodies piled up behind him. He found the holding area. A heavy door sealed with electronic locks. He placed charges and stepped back. The explosion blew the door open. Inside, 5 women stared at him in shock. Then Maya screamed. Not in fear, in joy. She recognized her father even behind the combat helmet. Marcus removed his helmet. Maya ran to him. He held her for exactly 3 seconds. Then he pushed her back gently. There would be time for emotion later. Right now, they needed to survive. He asked if they were hurt. Dr. Chen said they were okay. Scared but okay. Marcus gave them weapons taken from dead guards. Plasma pistols. Energy shields. Dr. Katya Volkov took a rifle and checked it professionally. Marcus looked at her with surprise. She smiled grimly and said her aunt taught her things. Useful things. Anastasia reached the upper palace through a ventilation shaft. She emerged in a corridor lined with expensive art. Statues from 100 worlds. Paintings worth fortunes. She destroyed them as she passed. Not because she needed to. Because she wanted the prince to know that everything he valued meant nothing. The prince's elite guard found her. 20 warriors, not regular soldiers. These were the best. Genetically enhanced, faster, stronger, deadlier. They surrounded her in a grand ballroom. The captain told her to surrender. She would die quickly if she gave up. Anastasia looked at them with empty eyes. She told them they had it backward. They were the ones who were going to die. The captain laughed. Then she moved. The fight was brutal and fast. Enhanced or not, the guards had never faced anyone like Baba Yaga. She was too fast, too precise, too experienced. She used their size against them. She used the environment. Chandeliers fell. Pillars cracked. The beautiful ballroom became a slaughterhouse. 5 minutes later, Anastasia stood alone. 20 elite guards lay dead around her. She was bleeding from a dozen wounds. None of them were serious. She had survived much worse. She walked through the bodies toward the throne room. Prince Zalthor was waiting there. She could feel it. Marcus led the women through the palace. They fought their way through corridor after corridor. The women surprised him. They were not helpless. Dr. Chen coordinated their movements. Lisa Martinez hacked security systems. Ambassador Morrison used her voice to confuse the enemy. Dr. Volkov shot with deadly accuracy. Maya watched their backs. They reached the central courtyard. Open sky above. 50 guards between them and the palace gates. Marcus counted ammunition. Not enough. He looked at the women. They were tired. They were scared. But they were ready to fight. That was good, because fighting was all they had left. Then Anastasia appeared on a balcony above. She threw down plasma charges. Explosions tore through the guards. Marcus charged forward. The women followed. They met in the center of the courtyard. Anastasia was covered in blood. None of it was hers. She asked if her niece was safe. Katya nodded and hugged her aunt quickly. Marcus looked around. More guards were coming. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. The entire planetary garrison was mobilizing. He asked about their escape ship. Anastasia told him it was destroyed. It was part of the plan. Marcus asked what the plan was now. Anastasia smiled that cold smile and said they improvise. Dr. Martinez pointed to the palace. It had thick walls, defensible positions, supplies. If they could hold it, maybe Earth would send help. Marcus asked how long they needed to hold. Martinez said at least 2 days. That was how long it would take for Earth's fleet to arrive. If Earth was sending a fleet at all. Marcus looked at Anastasia. She looked at him. They both understood. 2 days against an entire planet. 7 humans against 50,000 Corvathian soldiers. It was impossible. It was suicide. But it was also the only option they had. They retreated into the palace. Marcus and Anastasia set up defensive positions. They used the Corvathian security systems against them. They turned cameras into weapons. They sealed corridors and trapped hallways. The palace became a fortress. The first wave hit at sunset. 500 soldiers. They came from all sides. Marcus held the eastern corridor. Anastasia held the western. The 5 women defended the central hall. The fighting was desperate and close. Plasma fire lit up the palace. Explosions shook the walls. The Corvathians expected the humans to break. They expected fear. They expected surrender. Instead, they found determination. They found warriors who fought for family. They found humans who would rather die than give up. The first wave broke against the human defense. 200 Corvathians dead, 7 humans still standing. The Corvathians pulled back in shock. This was not supposed to happen. Humans were weak. Humans were primitives. Humans were prey. But these humans were different. These humans had teeth. These humans were the predators. News feeds across the galaxy picked up the story. A human fortress on Zelkor Prime. 7 humans holding against thousands. The footage was incredible. It showed the palace lit up by weapons fire. It showed waves of Corvathian soldiers attacking. It showed them being pushed back again and again. Other species watched with amazement. Some with respect. The Corvathian Empire had seemed invincible. Now 7 humans were making them look weak. The political implications were enormous. On Earth, the government mobilized everything. 50 warships. The newest. The fastest. The most powerful. They would reach Zelkor Prime in 48 hours. But 48 hours was a long time. A lot could happen in 48 hours. In the palace, Marcus checked their ammunition. They had enough for maybe 12 more hours of fighting. After that, it would be hand-to-hand. He told the others. No one looked scared. Dr. Chen said they had come this far. They would see it through. Ambassador Morrison agreed. Lisa Martinez started building improvised explosives from palace supplies. Katya found Anastasia on the palace balcony. Her aunt was cleaning her blades again. Katya thanked her for coming. Anastasia said family takes care of family always. Katya asked if they would survive. Anastasia looked at the thousands of soldiers gathering outside and said honestly that she did not know. But they would make the Empire remember this day. Maya sat with her father in the throne room. She asked him if he was scared. Marcus said yes, always. Fear kept you sharp. Fear kept you alive. But he was more angry than scared. Angry at the aliens who took his daughter. Angry at the Empire that thought it could do whatever it wanted. That anger would keep him fighting. The second wave came at midnight. 1,000 soldiers, heavy weapons, siege equipment. They meant to end this quickly. They failed. The humans had turned the palace into a maze of death. Every corridor was trapped. Every room was fortified. The Corvathians died by the hundreds, but the humans were getting tired. They were running out of supplies. They were taking wounds. Marcus had burns on his arms. Anastasia limped from a leg injury. The women were exhausted, but they kept fighting. Hour after hour, wave after wave. They kept fighting because giving up meant death. Giving up meant the Empire won, and humanity never surrendered. Not when the stakes were this high. Not when family was involved. The galaxy was learning that lesson. The hard way. Dawn broke over Zelkor Prime. The palace still stood. Smoke rose from 100 fires. Bodies covered the ground outside. Corvathian bodies. Thousands of them. Inside, 7 humans prepared for another day of fighting. They had held through the night. 36 hours now. 12 more to go before Earth's fleet arrived. Marcus did not think they would make it. They had almost no ammunition left. Their weapons were breaking. They were all wounded and exhausted, but they would fight until they could not fight anymore. Admiral Krathzul stood outside the palace with what remained of his forces. He had started with 50,000 troops. Now he had maybe 30,000. 7 humans had killed 20,000 Corvathian soldiers. It was impossible. It was humiliating. It was unacceptable. The admiral made a decision. He would challenge them personally. He was 9 feet tall. Genetically enhanced for war. He had won 300 personal combats. He carried the best weapons the Empire could make. He would kill these humans himself and restore his honor. He walked to the palace gates alone. He called out in the human language. He challenged them to single combat. Him against their best warrior. If he won, they surrendered. If they won, his forces would pull back for 6 hours, long enough for Earth's fleet to arrive. Marcus heard the challenge. He looked at the others. This was a chance. Maybe their only chance. Anastasia told him not to do it. The admiral was enhanced, stronger, faster, better equipped. It was a trap. Marcus said maybe, but it was a trap that bought them time. He walked out into the courtyard. The admiral waited there, surrounded by cameras. The whole galaxy was watching now. This moment would be remembered, either as the day humanity proved its strength or the day it learned its place. The admiral looked down at Marcus, a small human, battered and bleeding, armed with a broken rifle and a combat knife. The admiral carried plasma cannons and energy blades. This would be over quickly. The fight began. The admiral attacked first. Fast and powerful, his blades cut the air where Marcus had been standing, but Marcus was not there anymore. He moved like water, like smoke. Years of experience against opponents who should have killed him. He survived because he was smarter, not stronger. The admiral's confidence began to crack. This human was too fast, too skilled. The admiral used his plasma cannon. Marcus rolled behind a pillar. The stone exploded. Marcus came out firing his rifle. The shots bounced off the admiral's armor, but they made him back up, made him defensive. The fight went on for 20 minutes. The admiral was stronger. Marcus was smarter. The admiral had better weapons. Marcus had desperation. The admiral fought for honor. Marcus fought for his daughter. There was no comparison. Marcus saw his opening. The admiral overextended on a strike. Marcus went low. His knife found the weak spot in the armor at the knee. The admiral fell. Marcus was on him in seconds. The knife at the admiral's throat. The cameras captured everything. Marcus did not kill him. Not yet. He spoke loud enough for the cameras to hear. He told the admiral and everyone watching to never underestimate a father's rage. Then he stood and walked back to the palace. Behind him, the admiral lay in the dirt, defeated and humiliated. The Corvathian forces pulled back as promised. 6 hours. It was enough. Earth's fleet arrived exactly on schedule. 50 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The newest human dreadnought, Righteous Fury, led them. Its weapons locked onto the Corvathian fleet in orbit. But Marcus did not wait for rescue. He had one more thing to do. He opened a communication channel, broadcast to every Corvathian ship, every station, every planet in the Empire. His message was simple and direct. He told them they had seen what 7 humans could do. 7 tired, wounded, desperate humans had held off an entire planet. They had killed thousands of Corvathian soldiers. They had defeated the Empire's greatest admiral. Now imagine what 1,000,000 humans could do. Imagine what 1,000,000,000 could do. He told them to release every human they held. He told them to recognize Earth's sovereignty. He told them to leave humanity alone. Or the next time, Earth would not send 2 operatives. They would send armies. They would send fleets. They would show the Empire what total war looked like. The Corvathian High Council watched the broadcast in silence. They looked at the footage from Zelkor Prime. They looked at their casualty reports. They looked at Admiral Krathzul lying defeated in the dirt. They made their decision. The Empire agreed to negotiate. They released all human captives. They recognized Earth's territory. They agreed to never take humans again. The cost of refusing was too high. Humanity had proven itself, not as primitives, not as prey, but as warriors, as a species to be respected and feared. The 5 women were evacuated first. Medical teams treated their wounds. Counselors helped with their trauma. They were survivors. They would carry the scars, but they would heal. The galaxy had tried to break them. They refused to break. The Galactic Council met in emergency session. They reviewed everything that had happened. They voted unanimously. Humanity was classified as a Tier 1 combat species, a species not to be provoked, a species that protected its own, a species that turned into demons when you threatened their families. Other species that had taken humans as slaves quietly released them. Better to let them go than face what the Corvathians faced. Better to make peace than make war with humanity. Earth's government tried to give Marcus and Anastasia medals, tried to make them heroes. They refused everything. They did not want parades or ceremonies. They did not want fame or recognition. They wanted to go home. They wanted to return to the quiet lives they had built. On the last day, Marcus and Anastasia met one final time. They stood on the observation deck of the Righteous Fury, looking at Earth below. Blue and green and beautiful, home. Anastasia spoke first. She told him he was not bad for an American myth. Marcus smiled and told her she was not bad for a Russian ghost. They shook hands. Professional respect between two legends. Then they went their separate ways. Marcus returned to his fishing boat. Back to the ocean, back to the peace. His daughter visited him every month. They talked about her art and her life. They never talked about what happened on Zelkor Prime. Some things were better left unsaid. Anastasia returned to her farm in Romania, back to her garden, back to her tomatoes. Her niece worked at a research station on Mars now, safe, happy, building a future. That was all Anastasia wanted. But across the galaxy, the story spread. Other species told their children about the two humans who brought an empire to its knees. Some called it a fairy tale. Some called it propaganda. But the Corvathians knew it was true. They had the bodies to prove it. Human culture spread through the galaxy after that. Respected. Feared. No one wanted to be the next species to test humanity's patience. No one wanted to learn what happened when you took something that belonged to them. Prince Zelthor lost everything. His title. His wealth. His freedom. He served time in a galactic prison for his crimes. His cellmate asked him once what he had done to deserve such punishment. The prince told him he took 5 human women. The cellmate asked what happened next. The prince stared at the wall with empty eyes. He said he learned that humans do not have gods. They have something worse. They have heroes who make gods pray. They have legends who walk among them. And when you threaten their families, those legends wake up. Years passed. The galaxy changed. Humans built stations and colonies among the stars. They traded and learned and grew. They made friends with other species. They became part of the galactic community. But everyone remembered the lesson of Zelkor Prime. Everyone remembered what 2 humans did when 5 women were taken. Everyone remembered that humanity earned its place among the stars not through technology or diplomacy, but through the determination to protect its own. On Earth, Marcus watched his daughter graduate from university. She was studying art at the finest school. She was happy. She was safe. That was all that mattered. As he sat in the audience, he thought about Zelkor Prime. He thought about the fight. He thought about Anastasia. He hoped he would never be called to action again. In Romania, Anastasia visited her niece's research lab on Mars. Katya was developing new medical treatments, saving lives instead of taking them. Anastasia was proud. As she left the lab, she thought about the palace, the fighting, Marcus. She hoped she would never need to pick up her blades again, but they both knew the truth. If humanity was threatened again, if their families needed them, they would answer the call. They would always answer. Because that was what legends did. That was what heroes were for. And somewhere in the galaxy, in the dark places between stars, the story continued to spread. The story of Baba Yaga and the boogeyman. The story of 2 humans who reminded the universe that Earth's deadliest weapons were not machines or missiles. They were the legends who walked among them, the monsters who protected their own, the nightmares that kept other nightmares awake. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, and the galaxy would never forget how.